Please, today we'll be doing more of a software and more of a configuration today. From last week, we started with basic computers, the component of computers and what are computers. From the components, we came to how the computer functions. I mean, when you turn a computer, what the process that the computer goes through for your computer to turn on for you to use it. Then from there, we move on to the installation of Windows. So after you know the component, you know what happened when you turn the computer and you install Windows. We want to look at some of the functions of on Windows 10. What are some of the configuration I can do after you've installed Windows 10 on your computer? So we'll be looking at how to create guest account using the interface and the command line. We'll be looking at how to do partitions. We'll be looking at some of the Windows files and Windows folders. I mean, when you install the Windows, where does the Windows file in some of the files and some of the X files, the dynamic link libraries, where do they go? So we'll be checking all these things today. I'd like to share my screen. So please, how many of you are joining this class? If today is your first day of joining this class?
Yeah, please, me.
Yes, please, my friend.
So, like I said in the earlier class, what we are doing, the training is something that we do every 3 months. So the next one will be done in January. So those who couldn't make it, you wait for the next one to come, and then we'll do. We'll go over it again, and then we also have videos that we'll share on YouTube so that you can cover up the lessons that you couldn't do. So once the links are ready, the YouTube videos are ready, we'll share it on the platform, and then you can continue from there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dan. So today we'll continue from where we ended last week. We were looking at how to install Windows 10, and then we've done that, how to install the Windows 10 by, you have to do a bootable pen drive, and then we're talking about some of the boot orders of the computers, where we said HP has its boot menu, the boot key as escape, and most Toshiba, Lenovo, most of the computers have this as a F12, but with Windows HP computers, after you press escape, the next function key you have to press is F9, or you can just press the F9 straight to take you to the boot order, or you select the boot device for you to start the installation of Windows 10. So right now, so after you install the Windows 10, I'm looking to look at some of the configuration I have to do in computer. So the first thing we'll do is we look at how you create a guest account. Now the guest account is just a second account added to your computer in case you have a kid at home or you have a sister or a brother who would like to use your computer. You let them log into the guest account for them to use, in order to not to make any harm to your folders or any files that you have in your local account. So first we'll look at how we use the graphics interface to create a guest account. So the first place we go to control panel. Okay, we go to control panel. As you can see, I'm doing on my computer. You can search the control panel in the search bar here, or if you open any folder, you can click on the arrow here. As you can see, I'm pointing my cursor at the arrow here. Click on the arrow, and when the drop down comes, you just select control panel. Okay, you can either search it here, or when you open any folder, click on the drop down here and you select control panel. So now when the control panel loads, now you go to user account. Now the user account is where you manage all the accounts on your computer. So when you're going to create a guest account, when you get here, the first thing that you click on, you go to change account type. You click on change account type. Now when this one loads, so now the local account here is what is on my computer. That is the UPSC. That's my local account. Okay, so I want to add a new account to it. So when this page, now you come to add a new account in this PC settings. You click this one, add a new account in this PC settings. Now you click on this one, you wait for it to load. Okay, so now when the next page loads, and you go to add someone, now you click on this plus sign which says add someone else to this PC. Okay, so you click on this one. Let's wait for it to load. Now this is how you deal with the graphic interface. Now, but with the command line, it's straightforward and it's simple than you using the graphic interface. Now, when you get here, it's telling you if you want to, the user you want to create, you want to use a Microsoft account to create the guest account. So this is just a local guest account. We don't need any Microsoft account. So the next place you go, you can select on, I don't have this person's sign-in information. Okay, so you don't enter any email or phone number. Just click on, I don't have this person's sign-in options. So you click on that side and wait for it to load. Okay, now when it gets here, because we are not going to create any Microsoft account to that guest account, okay, we click on add a user without a Microsoft account. So now when you get here, it's asking you what is going to be, who is going to use the PC or the username or the guest account. What name do you want to give it? So we give it guest, or we can name it as a okay, let's name it as guest. Guest. So we name it as guest. Now it's asking if you want to create any password on it. Normally, guest accounts, we don't normally put password on guest accounts. Okay, because I mean that's the main reason why it's guest. So that anybody that want to use this, we just log into that side and use it. But if you think you still want to add, or you still want to create a password for that guest account, you can go ahead and add a guest password to it. But for the purpose of what we are doing now, we're not going to create any password, because to me, I don't think guest account should have a password. And so after you type the name, and you go to next. So that's it. As soon as you create next, your guest account has been created successfully. Now, after you created, where are you going to see your guest account? So after you created this way, come back to your taskbar, click on the Windows logo at the left corner of your screen. Okay, when you click on the Windows logo at the left corner of your screen, then go to the account image, this account image here, this account logo. Click on account logo. Then you will see your guest account, which is this. That's it, the one we created right now. That is the guest account that we just created. So this one of the ways you can create a guest account on your computer. Now let's look at how you can use the command line to create a guest account. You go to the search bar, okay? When you type CMD, it can be small letters or big letters. Don't mind my uppercase. CMD, and make sure you run the CMD, the command line, or the command line as administrator. You have to run as administrator, or else if you create a guest account, it's not going to work. So after you type CMD, run it as administrator. Okay, so this is another way of creating a guest account. So when you get here, you have to input the command for the computer to create a guest account for you. So those who started the class with me, when we were talking about the generation of computers, where you don't have graphic interface like where you can use your cursor to be clicking on folders and icons, and then the computer will be doing all the work for you. Anything that you have to do, you have to type the command yourself. You type everything yourself for the computer to perform that function for you. So let's say you are in the late 70s or the late 80s, where we only have the command line type of computers. Now, if you want to create a guest account, this is how you create it. Okay, so the command you type to create a guest account is net user. You type net user. It can be small letters, but I'm typing, I'm sorry, you can see net user. Then you type guest, you leave space, / active. asterisk, then you add yes. Yes. If you want to use a different name rather than guest, when you get here, where I have typed the guest, you type the name that you want to use there. So you type net user, maybe you want to use basic. So net user basic, use space / then active, asterisk, then yes. So any name that you want to use. After you type the net user, the next thing you type is the name you want to give to the account, that guest account. So we already have a guest account on it. So I'll add one to it. So after you type all this, you click on enter. Now it says command completed successfully. So now let's go and check if what we type here has really created a guest account for on this computer. So like I said, you click on the Windows icon, you go to the user account logo, click on it. So you see that's added another guest here. So what we created right now, it has added to it. So we have the basic, the one we created, and now what we created with the capital G and the command line has come to add it. So these are basically the two ways you can use to create guest accounts on Windows 10.
Please, can I ask a question?
Oh yeah, you can ask a question, no problem.
Okay, so I will be very happy if you can talk about when you were talking, I saw a Microsoft account. You really want to know what it is and then what it does. As it's popping up, probably it's something that should we consider or just ignore.
All right. So as the Microsoft account is just like the normal way of, let's say you've created an email account, or maybe you have a Yahoo account. It's just like that. So on Windows, especially Windows 11, if you have Windows 11 installed on your computer, the only way you can create an account on that computer Windows 11 is to have a Microsoft account. Okay, just like maybe you're logging into a website where they ask you to submit your email to continue. Okay, so the Windows Microsoft account helps you to use most of the products of Microsoft. Okay, just like the iPhones. If you don't have iCloud, you can't use it. Yeah, just like most of the Mac computers. If you don't have an iCloud account, you can't use their computers, or you can't use their phones. So the same with Microsoft. You don't have a Microsoft account, you can't use their products. So that's basically what the Microsoft account is. Now that we know how to create a guest account, one thing that I want us to look at is how to create a partition. How to create a partition on your computer. Now, for safe reason, if you have any computer, you should create a partition on it. Okay, so you have a partition where you keep all your files, which is different from where you keep your program files. So in case you run into a problem or your computer crashes, you'll be able to get all your files back. Okay, so you create a partition where you keep all your documents differently from where you keep your program files. Most of the time, the program files are being kept on drive C. Okay, so before we create the partition, let's look at what the drive C is. So the drive C is where, after you've done the installation on your computer, all the program files are being kept in drive C. Now the program files are the extensions, the dynamic linked libraries, some of the files, the folders that includes all the Windows files in them, that enables you to use the computer. Okay, so the drive C is where all your program files are being stored. So most of the things that you've seen I've opened on my computer like this are in folders in my drive C. Okay, even though it's in my RAM like we talked, and my processor is processing for me through my graphics card for me to see on my screen. That file is in my drive C. So if I open a file folder like this file folder is in this extension, as you see right now, is in a folder in drive C, which is part of the Windows program or the Windows files. So let's look at some of them. most important files in your drive. So when you go to your computer, you open, I mean, your computer is on. You go to my computer. But on the recent Windows 10, you don't see my computer. You see this PC. So you click on this PC. Now this should show you all the hard drives on your computer. Okay. So for me, I have only one disk, which is showing here, which is my local disk drive C, which is 1 terabyte. So I open it. So when you open it, then you see this folder over here, Windows. See this Windows folder here. When you open it, now these are all the Windows folders. These are all the Windows folders, the Windows files, which enables you to, I mean, it helps your computer to run successfully for you to use. Now, please, this place, you don't joke with any file here. You don't edit any file here. You don't delete any file here, or else your computer will crash and it might be in trouble. So let's look at some of the important files here, or some of the important folders here. Now we have the boot folder here. If you cannot remember, when we were doing the installation of Windows 10, we made mention of the boot file, where you get to select where the operating system is on the device that you want to run the Windows 10 on. This folder here helps you to select where the operating system is, where you want to install it. Okay, but it won't appear like this. But Windows has its own way of running this program for you to see it in a nice way, like I'm seeing these files here, for you to select where they. So this is what takes care of your boot order, okay, where the operating system is. If you on your computer, these are the files that helps you to locate where the operating system is for the computer to run successfully for you to use it. Okay, let's look at another important folder here, 32. Okay, now System32, what is this folder? Also is an extension. Okay, this holds, I made mention of dynamic link library, okay, and the extension files. Okay, now what this folder does is that it serves as a stepstone for most of the program to run on your computer. One of the important things is that it helps most of the applications or most of the software to run on your computer. So if there is any extension missing here, there's likely that there will be, and most of the apps that will run on your Windows are not going to install. Let's look at another file here. We have the regedit, okay, and to help you run most of the troubleshooting on your computer. Okay, but this one is those who have, I mean, who are more advanced in using Windows. Please, yours is just open and view. Don't do any editing. Don't touch it if you don't understand anything here. So these are some of the Windows folders and then the Windows files and what they do. Now let's look at how you partition your hard drive. Okay, so to partition your hard drive in the computer, you have to go to disk manager. Okay, so you take your icon to the Windows logo at the left corner of your screen, right click on it, then you go to disk manager. As you can see on my screen, you go to disk management. Okay, go to disk management. So after you right click on the Windows logo, you go to disk management. Now this extension helps you to configure your hard drive. So whatever you want to do to your hard drive, this manager helps you to do it. Okay, so it helps you to check the health of your hard drive. It helps you to check what are some of the amount of partitions on your hard drive, then the space, and then the file system. So when you get to disk management, you locate your drive C. Now your drive C should always be in NTFS format. So locate your drive C. When you locate your drive C, like here, right click on it. Okay, then click on shrink. Okay, shrink volume. Now the computer is so intelligent to even calculate the amount of space for your partition. Okay, so now the computer is telling me that the amount of space to shrink in megabyte is 86,863,662. Let's calculate the amount of space we would like to use as partition on our computer. Right now, the computer has given us almost 800 gig, which is too much. So let's reduce the size. Just click on the first number, then you change it. Okay, so I want to use 463,662, which means that is 400 gig. The higher the number, the lower the shrink size. Okay, so as you can see, if I click on 5 here, the total size after shrink has changed to 300 gig. But let me type 4 and see. You see now it has increased. Let's type 2. You see now it has increased to 600 gig. Now let's use 3. It has given me 500 gig. So I have 1 terabyte. So I want to divide it into 2. Okay, so I want to use 500 gig for my drive C, and I want to use 500 gig as my partition. Okay, so after I'm getting the number, I just come to here and I click on shrink. So let's wait for the partition to be created. Oh, it has given us 300 gig. Oh no, it has rather given us 300 gig. It's supposed to be 500 gig, but don't worry. Let's use the 300 gig. So no matter what you do is you always make your partition to be bigger than your drive C, because the partition is where you'll be saving most of your files. So after it has created the partition, now this is unhealthy partition. You see the color at the top here is black. It means it's unhealthy. So this space here cannot be used. Okay, until you've given it a path. Okay, so let's give it a path for the computer to recognize it as a healthy space for you to use. So let's give it a path. So you right click on it, then you go to new sample volume. So now let's go on to give it a path. Click on next. Now it's telling us this is a space. So when it gets here, it's still telling you, okay, is this the space you want to? If you are not sure, you can add another number. You can add more numbers to increase it for you. But let's maintain it this way so that we understand what we are doing. So you click on next. So it's telling you which letter do you want to assign to it. Like our drive C here, the drive C here, you see it has a letter for you to recognize as your drive C. So it's telling which alphabet would you like to recognize this space or this partition. So let's give it drive H. Let's give it H. Okay, so this is the path. We are creating a path for it. So you click on next. Please, you don't do anything here again. So you click on next. Okay, so the file system, I made mention of file system, NTFL, which is good, is default, and that's the new volume. You go to next. Then you click on finish. So you see the color black there, the color black that now has changed to blue. So now it's a healthy partition, a healthy space where you can use it in your Windows. In Windows 7, after you've done the partition, it won't format it for you. You have to go to your this piece or my computer, select on that partition, then format it before it becomes a healthy partition. But with Windows 10, after you've done it, it does the formatting for you. Now let's go and check if the partition was created. Good. So that's it. So that's our drive C. That's our drive C, which is 500 gig. Okay, which is 500 gig. And the partition we created, okay, with the path H, which is our new volume, is 300 gig, where you can now keep all your files and other things. So this is the way we create partitions in Windows. After you've done your partition, there's one thing again to check in Windows, okay, which is your task manager. This extension holds or shows you some of the performance that's going on in the background of your computer. Okay, this helps you to monitor how your computer is functioning. Okay, so when you go to task manager, you just go to the search bar here and then click on and search for task manager, or you can just right click anywhere on your task bar. Okay, like I've done here. Then click on task manager. It will open the app for you, or an extension for you. Okay, so when you open that, you go to processes. So as you can see, this is my CPU. It's running at almost 90%. So it's at work, and I'm using about 70 76% of my RAM. And you can see the Zoom is consuming more of my RAM. You see the power usage here is saying very high. One thing that you can check to is your start up applications. Now, what this means is that these are the apps. When you click on your computer to turn it on, they start with the Windows. So if you have a machine or if you have a laptop that has, let's say, 4 gig RAM or 2 gig RAM, mostly what I would advise you is to disable most of these startup apps. What they slow down the computer. Just when you turn the computer, it takes longer time for it to boot. So these are some of the apps that are always running in the background. So what I do is we have to disable these apps so that my RAM can breathe for my computer to be a little faster. But I'm not using OneDrive, but it's enabled and the startup impact is high. Okay, this slows down your computer when you try to boot them. It takes a long time before it loads to desktop. So you click on this, then you move to the right corner and you click on disable. Don't worry, this will not do any damage to any of these apps. It will still run when you after you boot to desktop, we go and click on it for it to still run. But what we are doing is we are trying to stop it so that it doesn't boot with the Windows after you've turned your computer on. So you select the app, move to the right corner, then you disable it. Okay. Like Microsoft Edge like this, I'm not using it. But I start with my computer. So you click on it, move to the left corner, right corner, disable it. Okay. And then we go to performance, which is another thing to, if you are a computer user, these are some of the things that you should check on your computer. So my CPU right now is doing 163 processes as we speak right now. As I'm using my computer, as you can see here, it's doing 163 processes at the background right now. And the speed at which it's doing is almost 2.30 gigahertz per second. So some of you, if you have your computer is running slower, you actually, why is my PC running slow? You can come to task manager, go to performance, check what your CPU is holding at the moment. How many processes is it processing at the background as you're using your computer, and what the speed is. Check your memory too. Okay, so right now on my computer right now, I have 4 gig. I have 4 gig, which for the purpose of this computer is okay because I just use it for Zoom and then we're typing. So which is okay. And right now, what I'm doing on my computer, the graphics that I'm holding, everything I see on my computer right now, Zoom, everything I'm doing, has used 2.8 gig of the 4 gig of the runner I have. So let's move on to what another thing that you can check on the task manager when you come to the performances. You can check the performances of your hard disks. Okay. So as you can see right now, my hard disk, this is my hard disk. Now the active time that is doing is about almost sometimes 50 millisecond. Okay, 50 millisecond. The active time. So what it means is that when I click on something, let's say I come here and I click on the file explorer, how many milliseconds does it take my hard drive to? We made mention of read head. Those who started with me made mention of read head in the hard disk. How many milliseconds does the read head move to the location where it can read that data for you to see on your computer? Okay, so mine is about 50 millisecond. You can check the read speed and the write speed. Okay, you can go on to check the internet speed. You can check the internet speed here too. You can check your Wi-Fi speed as well. Okay, so right now what I'm using, the reason why you're not seeing any numbers is because I'm not using any Ethernet cable. Okay, I'm not using any Ethernet cable. All right, so these are some of the things that you do. These are some of the things that you can check on your computer. So I will end here. And then next week we'll do some basic troubleshooting and some of the basic things about Windows and then your computers. So this is where we'll end today's class. Does anybody have any questions to ask?
No question.
Okay, so please.
Because it's our first time, we couldn't follow very well, but I believe when the next session.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so please, we'll end the class here, and then next week we go over some of the things that we did, and then we'll continue from there. So I'd like to thank you all for joining, and then I hope to see you next week.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.